You let yourself in. I'm excited that you stopped by for episode 5 of Player One Reviews. For me, it's a game that I felt was 2012's Game of the Year. And that game is Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning for the PlayStation 3. Let's take a look. Kingdoms of Amalur was developed by Big Huge Games with 3/8 Studios and published by EA. Unfortunately, shortly after the launch of the game, 3/8 Studios and Big Huge Games went bankrupt. The game had sold 1.2 million copies, however it had fallen well short of its break-even mark of 3 million units. Ken Rolston, who was the designer for The Elder Scrolls 3 and 4, Morrowind and Oblivion respectively, was Amalur's executive designer. The lore and world of Amalur, along with a 10,000-year-old history, was written by New York Times best-selling author R.A. Salvatore, and Spawn creator Todd McFarlane did the artwork. However, unlike some other recent Dream Teams, this trio delivered a fantastic product. Kingdoms of Amalur begins with you waking up after being revived in a gnomish device known as the Well of Souls. After escaping the Well of Souls, you quickly learn that there is a war raging between a faction of the immortal Fae, the Tuatha Deon, and the mortal races. However, you have no recollection of your past or how you died. All souls in Amalur are bound by their fate, which is written for them at the time of their birth and will take them right up to their death. However, after being brought back to life, you are no longer woven into the pattern designed by fate. Also, you learn that you can alter the fate of those around you, even up to altering their very death. This game follows you as you try and find out the secret of who you were within the backdrop of the Crystal War. Kingdoms of Amalur has the most satisfying combat system of any game I have ever played. That's right, ever. Now that I have your attention, let me explain. You choose between any combination of abilities from 3 generic class trees: Fighter, Sorcerer, Rogue. And as you level up, you are given points to spend in the trees. You can focus entirely in one tree, or you can mix and match abilities. It is so much fun just experimenting with the different trees and giving a rogue-heavy character the ability to use ice in their traps or weapons to deadly effect. The combat is fast-paced and never dull. Each different weapon type adds something new to the experience, and as you level up you get a true sense of power. During one stretch of playtime I was spec'd deep sorcery and found myself being annoyed when having to stop running around to fight a creature that was trivial in comparison to my abilities. But it was only after a few such fights that I realized mindless creatures would attack travelers, regardless of how well armed they appeared. Then I put myself into the shoes of the character, and as easily as the monsters are swept away by my magic, for someone of that strength, it would be more of a nuisance to bother fighting these beings. It was in that moment that I felt my admiration for this game grow into something bordering fanaticism. Fast-paced combat, deep ability trees, and a true sense of your character growing in power are not all that Amalur has to offer you, though. There is a vast open world for you to discover in Amalur, and each of the 5 climates have their own feel, and even the people living in them seem as different as if they were separated by oceans. There is a ton of side quests. Truth be told, possibly too many. Like many gamers, I like to do everything, and by putting so much emphasis on completing all available side quests, I found myself quickly outpacing the creatures in my current zone of play for the main story. However, there are also chains of quests for varying factions within the realm that you can complete. A very good friend of mine told me that if he was playing as a rogue, he would only do the roguelike quests, taking his immersion into the game world one step further by only performing the quests that he felt an assassin-like character would undertake. When Amalur released, it was on the heels of another large-scale RPG that had been met with great praise by the Western world. However, it stood head and shoulders above this behemoth of a game for me for one simple reason: continuity. In Amalur, as you complete faction quests and main story quests, the game recognizes you as having done so. After becoming the leader of a house of Fey warriors, I was greeted in a Fey city with reverence and honor, even having the NPCs offering me quests, telling me that they knew the task was below someone of my station, but they would ask it of me anyway. At no time did I find myself leading the region's largest mercenary group, only to be told by the head of a rebellion that I'd have to prove myself in combat. Something that to this day makes me want to shout with frustration. Responsive combat controls, full camera control, and a small but customizable HUD help draw you into the world of Amalur so that moving between attacking and exploring happens seamlessly. Vibrant. That is the best word to describe the graphics of Kingdoms of Amalur. Everywhere you look, the color pops. Todd McFarlane didn't want us to drown in a sea of grays and browns, and as such, he gave this world life through masterful use of color. Amalur has a distinct look and feel, from the different regions to the races of people and the beautifully sculpted weapons and armor. While playing, you feel as if you are a part of a living world that can be as deadly as it is beautiful. On more than one occasion, I found myself stopping to simply gaze in wonder at the world around me. Amalur's soundtrack was composed by Grant Kirkhope, an industry professional who's been working with video game sound since 1996. He uses music in Amalur to draw the gamer into the moment and enhance the experience. The music blends so artfully with the story and environment that you often find your heart racing along with the beat. By now, you can tell that I loved this game. The story takes familiar RPG elements and adds its own flair to make them just unique enough that you don't feel like you've heard this tale a million times. The combat is fast, fluid, and fun, and really steals the show. With a huge world and more side quests than you could ever want, it offers you countless hours of entertainment, while also allowing you to stick to the main plot if you want, and still not feel underpowered. With a hugely customizable ability tree and majestic visuals, it is safe to say that Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning easily lands in my top 10 titles for this generation. In a sort of twisted way, I'm glad 3-8 Studios and Big Huge Games went under after the release of this title. That ensures that a game I love doesn't get ruined for me like so many others with a poor sequel, or even worse, a yearly follow-up. Thanks for watching Episode 5 of Player One Reviews. If you liked what you saw, feel free to comment and subscribe. We are always on the lookout for new games to try, so feel free to leave a recommendation too if you have one. This has been a Cartridge Bros production, and this is Player One, signing off.